I'm still back at camp. There's already daylight, but that's because today I'm going to be tagging along with one of my uncles. I already tagged out last weekend, so I don't have a deer tag anymore. My original plan for this weekend was I was just going to go after the grouse that I saw last weekend when I shot my deer. But since my uncle didn't have a partner, I figured I'd just tag along with him. I'll have my 17 HMR in case we do see grouse, but we'll focus on his deer first. So we waited till we had enough daylight. That way we can just start hunting from camp because everybody else has gone to their spot before light. So we're gonna go up there and see if we could get my uncle on a deer. Just bumped a grouse, but it took off. And it's like prime time for deer, so we'll hold off for now on the grouse. Focus on deer until the afternoon. We are like 1 hour, maybe an hour 30 into our hike this morning. We have seen 0 deer, bumped 0 deer. Oh my goodness, there's a bunch of grouse, 3 of them. Oh, speak of not seeing anything, they're all in the trees. Time for the 17. Tưởng là từ tiếp rổ được á. Yeah, bay từ tới chợ nó đấy. Cái chuyện nó là giàu á. Yeah, rồi tới trồng kia chân đông nó gì, cổ loan là từ tiếp rổ mà giàu, bay từ nhóc nó sao? Lấy nhóc chân đông nó, cứ bỏ lại trồng.
Là tỉnh rồi.
Vô chỗ ta thế. Đừng nông thế. I'm not sure if I got that on video, but when I was first gonna shoot it, this grouse hopped off the branch, and so there was a tree in my way, and so I had to reposition, and I was kind of scared that it was gonna fly off, so I just shot, and this grouse is stuck in the tree. That's what I thought. Oh my goodness, we're gonna have to get him. What are the chances of that? This grouse fell like 20 feet off the tree just to get perfectly perched in that branch. Gonna have to pick some sticks and throw at it. And that is a blue grouse. This is a female. Females, they're a little bit more brown on their feathers. The males are a little bit more gray, blue overall. But that's hands down one of the most pathetic things I've ever had to do grouse hunting. Throw sticks at a grouse that got stuck on some tree branches, but we eventually got him, so we'll move on. beginning yesterday until like the end of next week. The forecast said it's all rain. But up here, the top of that mountain across is snow. Excluding yesterday, the last like 7 days were nothing but like 70 degrees and sunshine. So it feels good to finally have some October weather.
Nó nè.
We got out to this knob and we were eating, just sitting and relaxing. And my dad radioed us on the walkie-talkie and he said he bumped a flock of grouse earlier. And he had one sitting in the tree, but he just left it because he doesn't have a grouse gun. And so he left. And then we were like, well, if you come back there and you still see the grouse, we'll come down and shoot it. So my dad came back to where he saw the grouse, and apparently the grouse is still in the tree. So we're gonna go and get this guy. Do you see it? It's up on that tree, that big blob right there on that crooked tree. Look at the top. You see it? Okay, go to where my dad is. Here, it's loaded. Use the tree as a rest. Yeah, new ball. New ball. Okay. We're in no rush. If you need to, go on the left side of the tree. I think it's easier on the left side of the tree. You think it's easier like that? It's easier like that. Okay. If you're steady, then you can zoom it in too if you need to. Do you need me to zoom it in?
Sure.
Okay, look at it. Stay on them, okay? Tell me when you're good.
That's good.
Good? Okay, just put it around the body. Yeah, take your time. Slowly squeeze the trigger on the body. Woo! Good shot! Yeah! Good shot. That's a good one. I'll show you. I shot a hen. I'll show you the difference. Oh, that's a male. Yeah, that's a male. That's a big one. So the one I shot is a female, a hen. So if you look at them, you see them. That's a good. You see the difference of color. The male is really like brown, gray, and the female looks like a I don't know, brown. There it is. This is a female. This is a male. Females are a little bit more brown. The blue ones, gray ones, these are the males. White chest patch feathers. Huh?
I think that's where the bullet came out of.
That's the exit, yeah. Yeah, both of them. Nice. Elliot got his grouse. If it doesn't make sense, here's kind of what happened. My dad was down here, he saw the grouse. Me and my uncle were on top of the ridge. And as we were coming down to meet my dad, we ran into Daniel and Elliot. And so, since Elliot was there, I offered him the grouse. And so, Daniel and my uncle stayed back where we met them. And then Elliot and I came down to where my dad was. And we shot the grouse. So, my dad's back off hunting. And then me and Elliot are working our way back to Daniel, my uncle. This spot right here, this little bench, 9 years ago, it was me and my older brother Chanu, and we came down just like how we did here, and we had a doe just walk from this direction. She walked like, I don't even know how close, like 10 yards next to us, and then she just kept going this way and then eventually disappeared. I came down here and, that memory just flashed in my mind, and I'm like, I remember that doe 9 years ago, 2013. We're slowly still hunting this backside of this ridge in the timber. And so when you're timber hunting, you're always moving very slow, trying to be as quiet as possible. But the other thing that you have to be aware of when you're in the timber like this, especially during the day, is deer are most likely bedded down. And because they're bedded, sometimes there's like log or brush obscuring your view from the entire body of the deer. So what you have to train your eyes to see is just parts of a deer. You might see an ear, the tips of an antler, or just like the back of its spine. Look for parts of a deer, not necessarily the entire deer. My uncle looks to the right of us like 20 yards, and there's a doe just staring at us. I think it's a doe and a fawn. There could be a third one, but either way, I think it's all does.
Chọn chỉ có
저기 저잖아. 저기 권동 대신 맞다.
lý do
Catch a fire what?
lý do
이게 짜기로도 호가서. 짜기로 뜬다 호가서.
có lúc nó xuống nó thì
그거 봐줘.
chưa thử cứu sự
We were just walking up this trail, and I looked in the middle of the trail like 20 yards in front of us, and I'm like, that's a weird looking rock. It was a grouse, so I gave my 17 to my uncle to shoot him, and didn't get him, but I guess at least he got to shoot something. There's a lot of grouse, so we'll get into more hopefully. It has been non-stop hiking all day. And it's like 3 o'clock maybe. We're approaching evening. And my uncle's pretty beat. I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't beat either. Breaking in new boots on this trip, so my feet's a little sore. We're back to this little open knob, and we can glass like different pockets throughout a bunch of different ridges. As always, the one thing that never disappoints shows itself. We were gonna sit there till dark, but we can't because we're frozen. So we gotta get up and start hiking around to warm up again. So we're just gonna slowly hike our way back to camp, and if we get lucky, we'll just bump into a deer. I am so cold, my face is numb, I can hardly talk. I don't think today was worthy of feeling like somewhat sore, but I don't think it's smart to break in a hunting boot on a hunting trip. You should definitely break in your boot on a hiking trip before your hunting trip, because my feet right now, they're not bad, but I can definitely feel like it's kind of achy just because the boot is so new. It was kind of stiff. But me and my uncle were back down to camp, and it was a struggle today. We got 2 grouse, could have got more, but that's the way it goes sometimes. It was a struggle for the rest of the fam as well. I think it was right around 4 o'clock p.m. or maybe 3 o'clock p.m., somewhere around that time, when my cousin Joe actually shot a buck. So today, Joe, he carried the family. Everybody else didn't see much or just didn't have enough time to make it happen, but Joe was the one capitalized. He said it's a 3x4, so he and my other cousins are up on this ridge over here, and they're currently working on the deer and gonna pack it out. They might get here when it's all dark, but for now it's just me and my uncle at camp. We'll cook some food, cook dinner, and just talk with each other and see how everybody's day went. Today is the last day of deer camp for me. Just like the blink of an eye. Deer camp has come and gone this season. We only get 2 weekends here, so it goes by quick. This morning, I'm hiking up with my dad. But my dad's already ahead of me because it's daylight and he's deer hunting, so I'm gonna let him go ahead. I just once again have my 17 because I'm just after grouse. So I'm gonna let my dad work his way in there. That way I don't bump any deer in front of him. And we'll see if I can go redeem myself. We only got 1 yesterday, well technically 2. But we saw like 10 plus grouse. So even though we got 1, I feel like I still got the short end of the stick. So today is pretty much a half day. Majority of my family is back out hunting. There's a couple people that are still back at camp just because they're so tired. So let's throw on our packs again and keep hiking up this ridge. Pretty windy up on this ridge top. I haven't seen a single grouse. Haven't seen much. But I dropped down behind this ridge and I looked over here and I'm like, man, that stick looks an awful lot like a shed. And sure enough, there's a shed right here. This is a pretty small forky, but that's a forky nonetheless. I'll take that any day. There are some like super dedicated shed hunters out there, and if I was one, I'd like go all over this ridge to try and find the match. But I am simply an opportunistic shed hunter. That's all I am. So if I find the other shed, that's because I just randomly stumbled upon it, not because I was actually looking for it. They're just kind of milling around right there, but it's pretty thick, so I'm just gonna keep moving and try and find my grouse. One thing that I've been trying to do lately is take a lot more photos, videos and photos at that. What I've always been doing is I've just been recording so that I can go home and look at the footage and share it with my friends and family and of course you guys. But yesterday when I was hunting with my uncle, we would walk around looking for deer, looking for grouse, and we'd come across a certain like ridge or an area where my uncle has been there before, and he'd just tell me like, you know, like 20 something years ago, like this place right here, like you couldn't even see 5 yards. It was just super thick. And now, like yesterday, you can see way out, you know. And we'd get to like another ridge and he'd tell me a story of how he almost got lost on this ridge one time, and we'd get to another ridge and you know he'd have a different story there. And so the reason why I've been trying to take more photos is because, you know, if I have the good fortune of spending another 20-30 years here, I can go back in time to today and compare like pictures side by side. What did this area look like 20 years ago, 30 years ago? I always hear stories from my uncles and my dad of like these epic stories of them hunting or this really cool occurrence. Man, like sometimes I wish I could just have a picture of what they saw back then. Because when they are simply explaining it to you, you have to come up with your own visual diagram in your mind. And a lot of times what you imagine in your mind is not even close to what they're describing way back then. And so nowadays, since we are lucky enough to have cameras like this and this, you know, I just want to take advantage of that, be able to compare it like 20-30 years down the road. A picture today might not seem like you're doing much, but when you come back and watch your videos, your old videos and pictures, there's a lot of nostalgia to it. That's why, as painful as this camera is to bring around sometimes, I just lug it around because I know in the end it's worth it regardless. Yeah, that's yours. But these are the $2 for the weekend. So this is just a nice little 3-point here. And then this is the other guy. Nice 3-point frame on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4 right here.
4 right here.
Just a gorgeous buck overall. These 2 deer are good bucks. 2 for the weekend. And then this guy.
This
My little shed. So that's it right there. Basically packing up and then calling it good for deer camp 2022.